Police officers are called to deal with sometimes the most impossible situations and make decisions in a split second. And of course, these decisions can be examined for years afterwards. And these types of incidents are what I end up dealing with for public communications. When I graduated from high school, I wanted to go into law, and I now know what a mistake that would have been for me. But I ended up going to college and sort of floundering through college, not doing well, and then I heard about the Civil and Structural Engineering program at BCIT, and it was like I was just made for that program. And I went from being a completely mediocre student in college to being a real achiever and being very competitive with my classmates and with myself. My fondest memory at BCIT was the day that I found out that on the toughest course that we had in our program, which was statics, that I had aced the exam, and in the end I beat Tom Abule, my instructor, at his own game and managed to get 100% on his exam.
Well, getting 100% on the statics final is not a very common thing. I think it's probably only happened 3 or 4 times out of somewhere around 2,000 students. And for Tim to be able to do that really says something about his academic ability.
I am the officer in charge of the RCMP's Strategic Communications Section. This unit is responsible for the media relations and external communications for all of the RCMP in British Columbia. Thank you all for coming today. My name is Inspector Tim Shields. This is a difficult time for the organization. We've never found ourselves under this level of scrutiny and criticism as we have over the past couple of years. We can put out a news release about something incredibly positive and 2 reporters might show up. But we put out a news release saying that an officer is just being charged with some criminal offense, and we'll get a room full of reporters who are all smacking their lips looking for a good controversial story. To be in public relations at this time for the RCMP, there's no question, it's a tough grind right now. And for those inaccuracies, we apologize.
As an agency, we've never really been good at telling our story. And Tim has been able to bring us forward into a sort of a new era of telling our story and of getting it out there in terms of the great work that our men and women do every day that's seldom seen. You know, when bad things happen, our people go towards where the bad thing is happening, where everyone else is leaving.
Back in 2005, I saw that there were about 15 people in British Columbia who were killed in stolen car related crashes that year alone, and most of those 15 were young people. And once we looked at what we were doing to educate young people about the dangers of auto theft and how lethal it is, we actually realized we aren't doing anything. And that's when the idea of a documentary film that would be presented to students at the grade 10 level in high school came about. The video is called Stolen Lives, and it's a film that's not just about stolen cars, but it's literally about stolen lives, the lives that are stolen from drug addiction and through auto theft. And we found about 5 car thieves, some of whom were in jail, some of whom were reformed, some of whom went back to it a short time later. We interviewed them, and we also found a woman who lost her husband in a car crash where he was on his way to work and the driver of a stolen vehicle slammed into his car and killed him instantly, leaving behind this wife and 2 young children.
Tim is really deserving of this award because Tim has made a huge difference in society. If you look at the programs he's been involved with the RCMP, the number of lives he's probably saved, the number of people who are probably walking around now who would not be walking around had Tim Shields not done what he's done. I think we'd have a different world.
I enjoy taking landscape photographs. mountains or city views, especially when I'm out in the mountains. That provides amazing photography opportunities. And one of my passions is backcountry alpine snowmobiling. And I really enjoy getting as high as I can into the mountains, especially to a place called the Pemberton Ice Cap, which is a massive glacier just outside of Whistler. And the terrain up there is like nothing I've ever seen before, with the different snowscapes and blue ice and ice caves. It's truly, truly beautiful.
I think he wants to challenge himself. I think he's got a lot to give, and I think he really wants to, you know, he's almost restless. He wants to get to the bottom of things and wants to show people a different way of looking, you know, show them he's a photographer. He likes to look at things through a different lens and kind of open people's eyes to things. And I think that's really what drives him to push so hard.
Well, recently I was part of a 12-man trip that went to Nicaragua, and we helped children who have been born in and who live in a very large garbage dump. And to know that these are kids that were born in that dump and who are living there every day, it was heartbreaking. I started to cry just to see these unspeakable conditions. And we did a couple of projects during our trip there. We repaired a road, and we also built a structure that will be used as a feeding shelter to feed about 150 kids every day and keep them out of the hot 40-degree sun.
When he got back from Nicaragua, he really just wanted to share everything that he'd been through. And so with the 1,000 pictures that he had, you know, we would go through picture by picture and every story, and the kids and I would sit in and we would go through this, you know, sort of almost, it was kind of emotional because the way that he was telling about it, and we all really got impacted by the stories. And I believe that the stories that he was telling us is what really hit home for each one of us.
She's been a real stronghold in my life and the source of a lot of my strength. And there's no question that any successes that I can claim are the result of my relationship with her.
He's really taught me to love the outdoors. We love to camp and go to places where really no one else can go to. You know, top of mountains, hiking, and just sometimes we're at places where you don't even see any people for 3 to 4 days, and that's just so impacting. So we have had amazing trips throughout all the years.
When I was 21, I visited the D-Day beaches in France, and I visited Canadian war cemeteries. And I saw one particular soldier's headstone that has stayed with me since that moment, and the inscription simply read, "He gave his all." And every day, that's how I want to live my life. I want to give my all. I want to make a difference in the lives of other people, and I want to change that little corner of the world that I touch and change it through helping others.